Wakenya wangejua ile madharau hii serikali imeonyesha deputy president. Ingine hatuongeangi kwa sababu hatuna maana ya kuongea. Ofisi zote za serikali hata ya DC Murang'a, chai ni serikali inanunua, gari yake mafuta inawekwa na serikali. Rais ningetaka aeleze Wakenya ukweli. Badala, even after taking the job and responsibilities of the deputy president William Ruto and apportioning the same to other officers, he went ahead. Deputy President of Kenya, when he travels even on official duties, he pays for his own tickets. When he is traveling around Kenya, even on official duties, he fuels his cars. Hiyo ni kitu watu hawajui. Chai ile watu wanakunywa kwa deputy president, ofisi ya serikali. Ile anapea hata diplomats wameenda kufanya kazi. Ile anapea governors wakienda IBEC, ile mkutano ya kiserikali. Ananunua na pesa yake ya mfuko. Rais amedhulumu makamu yake, amechukua hata kitu kidogo kama chai ya deputy president. Unachukua chai ni nini sasa? Mafuta ya gari unachukua na tena unakuja kulalamika. Unalalamika na kazi ushamuondolea, utafanya nini? Akikupigia simu huchukui, akikuja kukusalimia humsalimii, atakwambia aje ile maneno anafaa kueleze. Rais, tafadhali tunakuheshimu, lakini hatuna shida. Usikuje sana kama umekasirika. Tueleze kwa upole. Wewe time yako ikifika enda, na ukienda mimi nataka nikuhakikishie serikali ya hasura haitadhulumu wewe. Hatutaangalia vile ulitudharau, tutakufanya wewe upumzike kama rais ambaye amestaafu kwa njia ya heshima.
I'll gladly take it and accept to serve this nation. But all I'm saying is this. I wouldn't, you know, I'm very suspicious. I don't want to repeat again. I don't know why MURKOMEN is still insisting on Kalonzo. You know, and trying to really, even yesterday, instead of them going to mourn, you know, the loss of their friend's daughter, they went to talk about Kalonzo. You know, the whole topic was about...
the person who was bereaved was talking about Kalonzo.
Even the person who was believed. So I am suspicious. What is this weakness that they are finding here that they want to really push us? And why are they pushing us for Kalonzo? What is the interest? And they are not talking about their own... They are not talking about their own candidates. I wish they were talking about themselves.
But it's deflecting. It's obvious what they're doing.
And I think...
For the purpose of this show...
Yes.
I would say Sabina. Yeah, Sabina.
For the purpose of the show.
Yeah, the purpose of this show.
You see,
I will say,
absolutely, you have no respect for
on a serious note, it's not about, I'm not talking about you, Sabina, because you're a woman. It's because I know you as a leader. And
you have worked together.
If this is the we've worked together. I know.
She was on your side of the divide at some point.
Not even that. She knows that.
We started this journey together until they started funny.
There are so many great things that the deputy president was wishing this lady a few years ago, and she knows.
She shed tears.
Even bigger position, she knows between her and the deputy president and the few of us who know. But so we have mutual respect. And if this becomes the last show I'm going to share with Sabina as an ordinary member of parliament, and the next show in her capacity as a deputy president, that will be...
We might not be able to get her again.
That is true. That will be a great surprise for all of us.
Yes.
But this is the thing I'm going to say, is that beyond the names and the people we're discussing, the next deputy president, the next president must have clear responsibilities of the office of the deputy president. The Constitution itself says that the deputy president shall deputy the president and perform other responsibilities delegated by the president. Unfortunately, this deputy president has never appeared in any executive order since 2013 to be delegated specific responsibilities. Granted, in the first term, which is 2013 to 2017, he was given many responsibilities and chaired so many committees, though not defined in any executive order that this is his responsibilities. And I want to implore my friend Mutula, in the event that he becomes also a governor, he needs to, by an executive order, in the event. And I didn't want to say more than that because I am conflicted. I have a candidate. Yet Mutula is my friend. But if he becomes a governor, or when he becomes a governor, if that becomes the case, he should also treat his deputy with the respect that he deserves, and give specific responsibility to the office of his deputy governor.
Should we make that? Should we codify that in the law?
It's difficult. We struggled with the Senate. We struggled with the Senate to give those responsibilities, but we found that it should be just left. It's very difficult to constrain the office of the principal himself, whether it's the president or the governor, to say these are the responsibilities.
It's very difficult.
Now, if I was running to be a deputy president, and I said it earlier, I would be very happy to be deputy president of William Ruto, because he has seen it all, you know. I would be worried if I was going to be a running mate of Raila Odinga, who has been happy, and I'm saying this with utmost respect, even if I am an independent observer out there, who has been happy to cheer President Uhuru Kenyatta as he strips responsibility from his deputy. It means his mindset, his thinking, his philosophy on the office of a deputy president is the same as the one of Uhuru Kenyatta. And any person whose standard is Uhuru Kenyatta, that is the lowest standard you can ever compare.
But
I'm just saying this. We hope. We hope. No, it changed this term, and there is no doubt about that. From 2018, and from the time he gave this executive order number 1, that completely.
That's when it changed for you.
Destroyed the office of the deputy president. Of course, it was clear that this man was picking a war fight. He wanted to get away. Everybody was working with him, including myself and others. And I'm just saying this. We saw the other side of Uhuru Kenyatta, which was promised to us in 2016, but we never heard and we never listened. But the point I'm trying to make here is that that is water under the bridge. It's only Uhuru Kenyatta after 97 days will never be president forever. So the point is that is water under the bridge. We are not going to be having to discuss Uhuru Kenyatta after 97 days. What we must discuss is the office of the deputy president and the office of deputy governor. Okay. And I am saying that the next president, and William Ruto has promised as much, and you will be seeing it in the next few weeks, his statement to the public about what responsibility is going to give to the office of the deputy president
before he announces,
and his commitment, commitment to making sure that that is a functional office based on his personal experience. The last thing I'll say is that we need a president who will borrow leaf from the late President Mwai Kibaki. We will also not just allow the deputy president to function, and this is something I'm also going to encourage my friend Mutula, allow also departments of government to work, allow people to shine. This obsession by one individual that you must clap for me, it is my legacy. Every time it's about me, I and myself, my government. If you want to go back to the history and see President Mwai Kibaki, there is no time that President Mwai Kibaki said my government. He always said the government of Kenya. And in fact, he always said sisi, tumefanya, sisi tumeamua. He never talked about me, I and myself.
Absolutely no competition so far.
Thank God. That's all I can say for now.
It's not true.
We have a serious candidate in Makweli.
Only that candidate has no name.
Nameless until then. But it's 97 plus days, so a lot can change. But let's get into this running mate issue, possibly from Wiper and how you're looking at it. Please bring us up to speed. Why does Wiper insist they need the deputy president, and anything else happening as Azimio looks like a competition of sorts? We're not seeing that from UDA.
It's not actually insisting. That's the wrong word. It's not insisting, and it's not even a fight. We believe that there was a negotiation at the time when Azimio was signed into, before Azimio became a coalition party. That was a negotiation, and that negotiation was to the effect that Kalonzo Musyoka will be considered for deputy president. That's why in his initial statements, in fact after the initial meetings, he used a legal word. You might have to write it down in Latin. It's res ispa loquitur when that question was asked. But it means that the facts are obvious, and therefore it came to surprise us as Wiper when a statement was issued in Manzoni. In fact, this issue became a little poisonous when one Professor Makau Mutua issues a notice, I don't know to who, but to everybody, saying that the running mate question is still a matter that is under discussion. Two, obviously, we thought and were advised that the coalition political party summit, where my good friend SABINA Chege sits, was supposed to sit and sort out those issues at that level, not at a level where you have to subject my party leader to what looks like a class 7 class teacher examination as to whether it's a running mate. Now, if you were to ask who is Kalonzo Musyoka, unless you have not been in this country and you don't read and you live in a dark place, in a hole, no, everybody knows Kalonzo. In my case, I have even suggested, and I can offer, to buy books. The book of Kalonzo Musyoka is called Against All Odds. For the 7 members, if they want to know who Kalonzo Musyoka is, we can give them those books. But to subject Kalonzo Musyoka to what appears to be, there's no word to describe, an exercise where you ask him, by the way, tell us who you are, what have you been doing, where have you been?
We don't know that for sure, that's what's going to happen. But Sabina, is that what's happening in this Azimio? Like, there's 2 different setup of ideas on how we'll arrive at a running mate, and Wiper is not aware of any discussions about running mates.
Well, I wouldn't speak about any arrangements that were there before or agreement because I was not party to it. But let me say one thing. I think humility is a virtue. And I think if we look at our friends from UDA, we saw the Deputy President going for an interview and answering questions for him to be confirmed as a presidential candidate for his side. I don't think that was something that would say it was lack of respect. Yes, Putula is right, I think, the council. And when the decision of the panel was made, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka was there. Actually, in the panel, he has given one person. Not everybody was given the privilege of, naming the person in the panel, but he has a person in the panel. So he was part and parcel of the decision made by the council. And I think at the council, he didn't have any objection. You see, sometimes when you have too many people pulling you and pushing you that this must be it, this must be it, sometimes we miss the point. But for me, I believe a running mate is a person who complements the candidate. And it should be somebody that is being forced to the candidate. It should be somebody that they complement each other. And most importantly, I think we've had Kalonzo Musyoka with Raila Amolo Odinga running as a pact. They didn't win. I will not say that he's disqualified or they will not win, but I think it is important for everybody to have an open mind. By the time you choose to be in certain coalition, you must be convinced first about what the coalition believes in, number 2, about the candidate. And I think we've seen several people. We've seen Martha Karua, we've seen Gideon Moi.
But not all everyone of them, is equal, right?
All of them, not everyone is equal. But the thing is, and that's what I've said, how do you complement the candidate? And why would you, I said humility, why would you not want to appear on something that you agreed? And as he said rightly, Kalonzo Musyoka is very much well known. So I don't think you should shy away from appearing. Those are respected members, and I know Kalonzo is a Christian. We have bishops who are there, and I know he respects also those men of cloth, and I would expect that he would trust them, even his own person who is there. I think it is good. He has said Kalonzo has done a book. If we look at the Obama memoirs, and there's one called A Promised Land, and he really gave an outline of why he chose Joe Biden to be his running mate and not any other person. And I think looking at Obama then, who was a newcomer in politics, who really had a lot of following with the young people and the women, but he needed somebody who was experienced on the other side, who had stayed longer. And
right.
We know Joe Biden was there for 35 years. And then, of course, we needed the other side of the conservatives.
So basically it's about
balancing and somebody who really complements. Look at the candidate, look at his strength, then his weaknesses, look at the person who can try and bridge the gap. I think that should be a fair way of looking at a running mate.
I'll come back to that, but MURKOMEN, your side of the campaign, I will come back to your side, but first to this, your side has been stoking this fire, asking Kalonzo, like, you shouldn't go to sit in this panel, you should be sitting in this thing. What's the interest and where?
No, I think we are discussing the wrong thing. The problem is not who Raila Odinga is going to choose to be the running mate. The problem is actually how that has been done and the existing promise. Yeah. What binds together this Azimio? What brought Azimio together is a system of lies that were sold to different people. You know, we have the benefit as a Kenya Kwanza of having people who are in Azimio who are being driven to certain decisions within Azimio. Musalia Mudavadi was there, Wetangula was there, and some other of our colleagues were there. So we know what was going on. What was going on in Oka, what the president was trying to sell to each one of them. There was a time he told Musalia he was definitely going to be the presidential candidate. He even went to funeral of his mother and posed as though now Musalia was the next presidential candidate, promised them certain things. He moved around, went back to Kalonzo, told Kalonzo he was going to be the presidential candidate, moved a little bit, told Gideon Moi he was going to be the presidential candidate. So what binds, we are not even talking about running mate, but we are talking about the series of deceit that brought together the Azimio team. Now, there is no, I have friends who work with Kalonzo Musyoka, beyond Mutula Kilonzo. I know Mutula Kilonzo work with him, but I have people even who work for him, you know, who know very well that when the president went to Oka and had a conversation and became the guarantor of the relationship between Oka and what was already existing Azimio, Kalonzo Musyoka was told to come and help deputize Raila Odinga. You know, that was the promise. But now the conversation being changed that to be considered to be among those who are going to be considered for this running mate. So the reason why the conversation in Azimio is not sitting pretty is because everybody has been lied to. You know, everybody has been promised at any given time that it was going to be something. The difference between what's happening in Azimio and Kenya Kwanza is that Kenya Kwanza relationship, when the deputy president met all these partners who are now working with him, he was very categorical to them. He never walked to someone and told him, come, you will be deputy president, or told someone, come. That's why there is a lot of comfort in our presence. And I can tell you this, because I have been part of some of the conversation of bringing some of the partners to our team. And one of the reasons why somebody, for example, like Mother Karua, never joined us finally, and with all due respect, you know, I'm not expected to say everything that happened, but one of the things is that the deputy president was not willing to tell Mother, if you join us, you will be a running mate, because it was going to upset certain kind of relationship. What the deputy president told everybody who is working with us now is that, come, let's form government together. Let's come and agree who will play which role without using deceit and due influence, duress. We know that most of the people who ended up going to Azimio, some of the state machinery and apparatus and threats and intimidation was used to keep them in that direction. And therefore, that is the coalition of the unwilling, while Kenya Kwanza is the coalition of the willing.
Okay.
And I am going to be frank with you. I want you to hear this. I'm going to be frank with you. And it is important, smart, you listen to this. What Mutula Kilonzo has said here today will go to annals of history. Just imagine if William Ruto was to set up a committee, of people like MURKOMEN, or Malala, or the rest of us who are in the next cadre of political leadership, maybe Senate or county leadership, and say you're going to sit there to interview a person of the caliber of Kalonzo Musyoka. I mean, if you do not want to make him a deputy president, at least show him some respect.
Okay.
And I'm on record as I spoke yesterday, and I'm saying this, Kalonzo can confirm. Kalonzo is my friend, I've worked for him before. I say this with utmost respect. If I saw the body language of Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta in Othaya while we were waiting for the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki to be brought, and we sat in one of the waiting rooms. If that is the kind of treatment you give somebody who it is supposed to have more than 3 million supporters, then you're not serious about forming government.
Okay, this is a tester. This is a tester. I want to take the first break.
What is a tester?
This is a tester. This is it.
This man has spoken for 10 minutes.
I am coming back. I am coming back.
Reading of body language.
I'm coming back on this to handle this and respond to this. With all due respect. Short break. We're coming back.
Almost 250,000 people die on the road in Africa each year. Follow these safe steps and help save lives. Just one drink can increase the risk of a serious crash. Short-term remedies such as coffee or energy drinks don't help. If you need to travel, take a taxi or public transport, or just stay where you are. So when you're on the roads, follow these safe steps and help save lives. We all have a role to play in road safety. Together, let's make Africa's road safer.
The biggest jackpot bonus in Kenya is coming your way. 40 million.
10 finalists, live TV draw, 1 winner.
We will be knocking on your door with a 40 million guaranteed bonus.
Kosa uchekwe.
Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in just 15 minutes. Trust Panadol Baby and Infant to work on fever fast to bring back their cute smiles.
New Even and Mad Dog Spot Corrector. The Power Vitamin C. The live dog spots.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Boresha maisha na bima. Kuwa na mipango mbadala ya sintofahamu za maisha. Gharama za ghafla za matibabu zinaweza kutatiza udhabiti wako wa kifedha. Bima ya matibabu hukupa utulivu wa akili. Wazawidi wapendao hakikisho la maisha mazuri na bima ya gharama zao za matibabu. Pata bima ili kuhakikisha yote yatakuwa sawa.
Radical Communications is organizing Ceramics Africa, East Africa's prime exhibition on the ceramics industry from 4th to 6th May 2022 to KICC. Ceramics Africa brings you 100+ major international brands exhibiting a variety of products like floor tiles, vitrified tiles, sanitary ware, machinery and equipment, and more.
With all due respect, welcome back. Kipchumba Murkomen, SABINA CHEGE, and Mtulaknos. Just before we took the break, Murkomen had said some things that apparently are unsubstantiated. Surely you're in this same room somewhere.
She was not. She was not.
None of you are in this room?
No, none of them.
The room that
they were not.
You know, Murkomen here is
I was only with Wambua.
that he has, the mechanism of reading the body language.
Okay.
He has spoken here about many things that are just propaganda.
Okay, help us correct this record.
You cannot come and purport and say clearly that there was this promise done. He seems like he's the one who was seated in all the negotiation. He has talked about the seat and everything else.
It wasn't Mutula.
Who said? No. So we can only know from both parties, or the parties involved, on what was agreed upon for them to either join Azimio or even go to UDA.
What was agreed upon?
And I think this show was not about Kalonzo Musyoka.
No.
This show was about running mate.
Yes.
He should tell us who their running mate is.
I will tell you right now.
He's running to be he's going to be a governor. Maybe I don't know whether he has chosen his running mate or not. And I think it will add more value to us and to Kenyans when we really discuss issues on who should be a credible running mate, or what should the presidential candidate, including the governors, what kind of qualities should they look for in a running mate. I think then it's going to be a much more sober discussion and debate rather than just talking about one person and making it being a show about a personality or about Azimio, where we know even these guys in UDA, they have not even told us who their running mate is. And of course, especially people from our region, they have been kept guessing. Now we know also Musalia is still waiting. I am waiting also for that day when they also name their running mate. So let's not make it about an individual, but let's help Kenyans broadly. What can we look for in a running mate?
So help us understand, what is Azimio actually looking for in a running mate?
You're
party to this discussion. At some point, you're rumored to be part of this conversation, consideration to be
not rumored.
deputy.
She's a deputy presidential candidate.
Yeah. You're a deputy presidential candidate.
Yeah. I would thank God if I
it's been announced on this show. But
today Mutula is announcing many things, which is, by the way, a good prayer.
Have you been promised? Have you had those discussions?
No, I've not had this discussion with anyone. And for me, my commitment in Azimio is not because of what I'll get, but what we can deliver for Kenyans. And genuinely, anybody coming in, either to Azimio or any coalition, should come in to add value and to make sure that they help the coalition to achieve what they believe in, and for sure to make a win. It's not about individual. It's not about my own personal interest. Because when it goes about me, then the other person will also think about themselves. Then you're not thinking about Kenya and about Kenyans. So for me, I would say for running mate, whether it's in Azimio, and I'll talk about Azimio, we'll look for somebody, because we have our presidential candidate who is Raila Amolo Odinga. We'll look for somebody who complements him. Let's look at the gaps. What are the opinions saying? Who is a favorite, or who likes Raila? Where is he trailing behind? And how can we be able to win the people who are not with Raila for now? Whether it's region, whether it's numbers, whether it's gender, whether it's about the age, those things must be considered. And I think in that panel, we saw clearly that they said a few things that will qualify people to be running mates. But also, number two, when you talk about that panel, I think the panel is more senior than the deputy president when he went to meet his people. Veronica Maina, they were there. So when you talk about just people, I don't know who are, but the panel of those are eminent persons. Okay. And I think Kalonzo himself, that's why he said we need to be very genuine here. He has already given Senator to be in the panel. So that means it's part and parcel of that.
So you expect
when these people go to a funeral and start discussing about, the funeral and how Kalonzo should have been treated, there are many people who actually were brought up together. They were very close friends of the late president, who never got a chance. So it's not about personal, going to be seen on a national TV that you were there. But the fact, and I saw Kalonzo responding very maturely today, he said, but the fact that he was there, he was able to send off his friend. He was happy. He didn't have to speak. But these people, they just trying to fan the fire here and trying to separate us. Okay. But we are strong together. And I will also tell my friend Mutula here, we need to not to allow people from outside to come and divide us. We need to sit down. If there is an issue, it is not about Murkomen. You come and tell us how we should keep our house. First and foremost, he should tell us who is the running mate and come out here.
We'll circle back. We'll circle back to him.
Mutula. Let me say this. And not all of us could qualify to sit in the council where Sabina sits. She's what we easily call numero uno. It's first among equals. Sitting in a very senior panel with very senior people to discuss very serious issues. And therefore, on my part and on the part of my party, and I say so because I sit as a vice chairman in charge of policy and communication, we and for the good of the party, and we are not here to appear as if we are quarreling. And I'm just advising them, and I'm happy I'm sitting outside looking in. I'm just telling him the perception created is wrong, because when my party leader says he will not apply, it simply means that at the part where they sat in the council, the question as to whether somebody is supposed to be vetted was not discussed. Because what are you vetting? What are you discussing? Now, it's important. This running mate question is so important, because it's not only running mate for purposes of presidential candidates, it's running mate for purposes of other seats, including the one who is going to be my running mate. It is a very personal issue.
Correct.
It is so personal that this person who is your running mate will know very intimate things about you. Now, I must say that because Sabina and Murkomen were on one side at some point, they were pamoja. Now walikuwa pamoja. The fact is, they are the ones who have missed the concept of who a deputy presidential candidate is.
That's true.
A deputy presidential candidate is a very serious person, is a president in waiting. And how you treat that person is key. not for him as a person. But if the person has reached, let me tell you, it's going to take us a long time. MURKOMEN and I are famous for making noise, banging tables. But it will take us several election cycles to get to a position where you can be considered to be a deputy presidential candidate.
Yes.
So a person who has acquired the notoriety, public notoriety to become a deputy presidential candidate, has run as a vice president. And I'm talking about Kalonzo. SABINA CHEGE says it's not about Kalonzo. There's nobody else who is being discussed. There's nobody else who is trending except Kalonzo Musyoka. If there's another person, I need to know. But if
I'll tell you.
No, but the only person who is trending and who is being discussed is Kalonzo. Now, if you reach a level where you have become the last vice president was Kalonzo, and he has run twice with Raila, what would I have proposed if I was to be asked? And we have very famous sayings in my mother tongue, which I cannot repeat here, but I can translate to say, a person who cannot be advised by a young person doesn't have that person as their child. I would advise these people, and since you sit in the council, Sabina, the best way to do what would be so difficult is of the presidential candidate just making a phone call. Let them go and have a cup of tea. If not a cup of tea, something else that they can consume, and have this discussion. In fact,
that is the part.
If the presidential candidates were to sit in a room somewhere in a corner and decide that you are going to be a deputy presidential candidate and not you, and in that discussion, quietly as it is, and they come out and say, all of us have agreed this is the presidential candidate or the deputy presidential candidate, the people who support that presidential or deputy presidential candidate are bound to agree to the decision.
So it's about the treatment for you.
The same thing when Kalonzo sits in KICC and the president says Kalonzo has forfeited his opportunity to become a president in favor of Raila. You don't have an uproar. Nobody said anything, because we believed, the people who were in the party, that when they sat as wazes somewhere in a room, we don't know where they sat, they came to a general consensus. I'm talking about treatment, because if what my good friend Sabina is saying is going to pass, the question is, like you have seen judges being interviewed of the Supreme Court in US, are you going to have a public forum where everybody sees what you're saying and the questions you are asking? You see? Now, the caliber of the people who you are going to interview, first of all, as a professional, Senator MURKOMEN and I, both lawyers, cannot interview Kalonzo because they're senior counsel. In fact, as members of the bar, we have set up a panel of senior counsels. They sit on their own because they are peers.
Okay, I get.
So I am talking about a process, and my advice to the team is this: if you do not want Kalonzo, treat him well, because the outcome of that interview, whatever outcome, because I don't know how somebody would say, and I don't know what result would say, and I will pick the candidates. You say Peter Kenneth, Martha Karua from Central, who will deliver more votes to Azimio than Kalonzo. If you made that finding out in the public, everybody would make their decision as to whether this verdict is correct or not. Okay. And therefore, I am simply pleading with the council, go and sit in a room, give us a deputy presidential candidate without subjecting these people to what appears as humiliation. Because Peter Kenneth has a right to disagree. Martha Karua has a right to disagree. And anybody else who is a deputy presidential candidate, I don't know who else is a deputy presidential candidate.
And SABINA CHEGE also.
Yes. So if SABINA CHEGE is interviewed and said, oh, by the way, you're too young, why don't you wait for another few years? The book you referred to, A Promised Land,
I need to come.
Let me finish, because that is important. By the time Obama decides it's Joe Biden, he doesn't even disclose in his book what parameters he used.
It was not only him, there was a panel, there were people who
because the Democratic Party, in picking even Obama himself, had a process which didn't end up with, because Hillary accepts the results of the Democratic Convention to support Obama. That's what it means.
MURKOMEN.
Can I let me first say this.
And I also need to answer from your own point of view, from what UDA is doing. What processes are you putting together to get a running mate?
First of all, I just want to say that we cannot stop discussing Kalonzo, just like they cannot stop discussing candidates within our party. Because tomorrow, if in the unlikely event that Kalonzo becomes the running mate for Raila Odinga, and in the most unlikely event that they win elections, that they will lead the rest of the country. It will be for all of us. So discussing either side, our side or their side, is a duty for all of us who are in leadership to ensure that the people being presented to the people of Kenya are capable of running this country. Number two is to say that unfortunately, as I said, the first thing we must deal with is the politics of deceit. The question of promising people positions and you don't deliver. My friend Gideon Moi, for example, I'd even bid farewell to the people of Baringo and told them, now I am gone. I'm going to pursue higher ideals. Yeah, but today his name has just been presented to IBC, again back to be a senator.
Murkomen, we have to be fair.
I just want to say this.
I did not hear.
I want to say this.
No, you have to be fair. I did not hear.
You called me because you believe that I have inside information on issues.
So this is information.
Yeah,
so he threw a party and bid everybody.
Which is your side? Sabina and I were on the same side the other day.
There's
nothing like saying to my side.
Come and discuss people here.
The point is this. So many people's careers on the other side have been destroyed because of false promises. And what Mutula Kilonzo is saying is that just be open, be fair, let the process give a product that can be accepted by the people of Kenya. For our side, and the practice all over the world when it's searching a deputy president or a running mate, it's a personal decision of the candidate. You must start from that. Number two, in the United States, the candidate puts together a search committee. That search committee is not public. It's private.
Right.
In fact, it's only leakage of information that some media houses, will say the presidential candidate it looks like it's considering so and so, and then there will be, or sometimes the search committee will leak a candidate in the hope to test the public conversation. Exactly what has happened for Kenya Kwanza side. The deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, who is the presidential candidate of Kenya Kwanza, first of all, it is his personal decision as to who is going to be a running mate. That is the first decision a presidential candidate makes, and is the first indicator to the people he is going to serve, and in this case the people of Kenya, the type of the president they have and the type of choices he's going to make. So to start with, by abrogating this responsibility to some council, which is appointed for purpose of coming up with a deputy president, and then it looks like the presidential candidate doesn't have a personal search, just confirms our position that Raila Odinga is a project, and a project of a council which is going to be headed by an outgoing president. First of all, that is wrong. Number two, for purpose of our side, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya is in a person who is going to be running mate of William Ruto is in a very advantaged position.
Why is that? Because
William Ruto has been the deputy president. Because William Ruto has gone through the rigors and the temptations and the trials of being a deputy president. At the moment, and I agree with Mutula, it will take, I was hoping that that's the direction it was going to go. It will take a very long time because of the things that Uhuru Ruto did. The ticket of Uhuru Ruto in the second term has done, and the treatment of the office of the deputy president. It will take a long time for people who are going to be appointed to deputy president's office to feel the comfort that they are actually going to be treated honorably. I tell you, smart, and I don't speak for William Ruto, but as a person who has observed being close to him, for president to close residence of a deputy president, for president to remove completely the budget of the deputy president to the extent that he fuels his car using his own money, running operation expenses of his office, to the extent that you have a deputy president's security being changed haphazardly, to the extent that the deputy president is not called for a single cabinet meeting, to the extent that you're going to issue executive order number 1 to ensure that you strip all responsibility of the deputy president. And William Ruto took it by, gracefully, continued saying, my boss, suffered that humiliation, quietly. I believe, and I have had this conversation with him in the presence of others, that we believe that what William Ruto has gone through has given him the necessary experience to appoint somebody who will be a deputy president, but somebody also whom he will treat different from how Uhuru Kenyatta has treated him in the second term.
But we don't know that.
And that's why I'm saying this. I know for sure that in the whole Kenya Kwanza team, that's why we do not have jostling. We don't have. There are people who are hoping they will be the candidates. It's a good thing. There are people even positioning themselves, hoping that they will catch the eye of the presidential candidate. But in our team, there is no doubt that the decision maker is the presidential candidate.
Can I say something?
Okay.
Yeah. Can I say something?
I want to go back to Sabina to respond before you come here.
You know, one thing about MURKOMEN, and he has talked about politics of deceit. If there are anybody or any team that has deceived, there's so-called many people that they are positioning themselves to catch the eye.
That's okay.
It's on his side.
It's ambition.
You know, for us, this is transparency. And that's why it was not a secret group. And we decided as a council.
This is why you made it public.
And this is not to mean that they will force the presidential candidate to pick the position of the person that they recommend. They're going to see several people. They are going to do a recommendation. But the final decision is going to be made by the presidential candidate. And number two, Kalonzo and the rest of us were in that meeting. And then if he was forced, as they are trying to show, if he could not have agreed with the decision, then he would not have appointed anyone on that panel. And so that's why I said, why are we going round? MURKOMEN here has not told us who is going to be their presidential candidate. So let us not just focus, and that's why it's not about, Kenya is not just about one person. And these politics are different from the politics of 2013. You know, things have changed. And you know, when you also have a deputy president, and I think one of the things that we should look at, you know, somebody who has immediate ambitions of becoming the next president, because I think that's where we lost it.
Why not?
In our team. That is where we lost it.
What do you mean?
Okay. Let me finish. No, you spoke. Let me finish.
No, just on that issue.
Let me finish. I'm not finished what I was saying.
William Ruto and Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta.
You see these people?
Found themselves in 2013 as two presidential candidates. William Ruto was running for president. Uhuru Kenyatta was running for president. And William Ruto accepted, like Kalonzo did, to support the president. So it should not be a surprise that he had a presidential ambition. And anyway,
and that is the problem.
Which vice president in the world does not have presidential ambition?
Exactly, but not immediately. We have seen many deputy presidents actually who have not immediately succeeded their president.
So, Sabina, I want to get this correct.
Yes.
Is the issue of this running mate of getting someone who doesn't have ambition to challenge?
No wonder Kalonzo is
I'm saying part of the things or trouble that we got from 2013 and out of experience. He talked about the experience. And maybe what the deputy president have purportedly gone through, but he has also not told us what he has done to his own boss and his own president, who made him a partner and believed in him.
You tell us.
So, and because we're not coming to discuss individuals here, I'm not going to go through that route. The whole idea is, if we are truly genuine, looking for a person who is going to complement the presidential candidate, we have to look at different things. We have to interview and look at the best candidate. And you know, yes, there is gut feeling. It's a personal decision finally from the presidential candidate. But also, he will have a team of experts who can tell him, so-and-so will compliment you, so-and-so will be a better person.
Was this decision had to be made public, for instance? That, you know,
because we are transparent, and we are not hypocrites.
And we
are not trying to deceive anyone. We don't want to keep people, you know, hoping. And I'm telling you, watch this space. The big fallout will come from the UDA team. Once the people who have been lied to that they're going to be the deputy president and they are quietly there positioning themselves, and they shock on them, you will see what will happen. On our side, we have decided to be transparent, and I also want to assure you
are you going to do a public interview? Are you going to do a public interview?
The details will follow.
That is the details will follow. If you are going to do a public interview, then that will give us transparency.
At least we have given a panel who is in that secret meeting that I want to assure Mutula Kilonzo something here. That one, for sure, Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila Amolo Odinga, they normally have tea. One of the most respected person in the council and in our coalition is one Kalonzo Musyoka. And one person who is a big pillar in Azimio, and a person who will not want even to upset, and the person who will want to treat well, is one Kalonzo Musyoka. So please do not allow these inciters on this side to come in between us. We have a relationship. Sometimes things don't go the way we plan them to be. But once we are able to work together, and when things are not going our way, we just sit down, retreat, and ask ourselves what is the best way forward. And instead of going to look for, people speaking in public, it's good for our house to come together and speak. But I want to assure him, it is not the first time they will have tea. I know even maybe tomorrow, even maybe tonight, they are having tea. You never know. So, these people meet, they are big boys, and they know their way around. And so let's Murkomen as his team here to come and decide what is good for our coalition. First, tell us you are deputy president.
Mutula, what is that thing that, from where you sit, you say Kalonzo is being treated not well, and supposing Azimio comes up with another candidate that is not Kalonzo,
or comes up with Kalonzo as a candidate,
yeah.
What will happen? I'm speaking now globally, and also addressing the question of Kalonzo. There is a reason, and I said the Jubilee fallout is a very bad example.
Correct.
And a very bad example to use on how to pick or not pick a deputy presidential candidate. Because I've said this, James Smart, that I am concerned as a Kenyan and a legal practitioner that the instability in the country and the quarrel between the deputy president and the president is something that should worry all of us. Because the minute you pick a deputy presidential candidate, you have told the country that in the case of incapacity, infirmity, death, resignation, that person ought to take over office in place of you for 90 days. It's a very key decision.
No, permanently.
So
no 90 days.
Yeah, permanently. So it is a very conscious decision. And you speak to the public and telling them, you have elected me to be a president. And this person who I'm going to be with is a person who can easily become a president in my absence. Now, what is it that the framers of the Constitution were trying to walk away from? You remember the Saitoti debacle.
Correct.
The country remained without a vice president for a long time. And Moi, somewhere in, may his soul rest in peace, someone said, oh, you just want a vice president? I will appoint somebody. Just pick somebody. We are trying to walk away from those things. And those impressions that a deputy presidential candidate is a person you pick off the streets, place him on a seat and tell him, okay, sit there, listen, and when I send you, go.
And read newspapers.
You know, that sort of thing. That is why it has become, it's become very difficult to run the country in the framework of the new constitution, because you can't just bump off your deputy president. It's not possible, because it's a historical issue. And we are trying to address that for people who are thinking that we needed stability in the country. Therefore, in both cases, if you do not manage the process well, the famous saying that you are damned if you do and damned if you don't. Why am I saying so? Because I had a conversation even in the Senate recently where people say, one senator said, I will not mention him, that we don't want a forced marriage. Now, if you end up in a forced marriage because of circumstances, because of numbers, because of victory, because of managing public perceptions, you end up in office with a bad relationship.
Isn't that what's happening now?
And that is what I am talking about. I'm not talking about the transparency and openness. Of course, you need to be open, you need to be transparent. The SABINA CHEGE, where SABINA CHEGE comes from, and it's important you address those issues. Where SABINA CHEGE comes from, both in the side of MURKOMEN and on the side of Azimio, they are saying, and I'm talking about Muranga, it's our time. So people are managing expectations. And in managing expectations, you must manage people.
Okay.
So that when, if SABINA CHEGE decides, and she has decided, and I asked her when we walked in here, you mean while you are sleeping, you got a voice telling you not to vie? How did you get, how did you arrive at that decision? You see? Azimio must manage the expectations of the supporters of SABINA.
Okay. In the unlikely event.
In the unlikely event,
I did not promise them anything.
No, I'm saying, no, let me finish.
I have
no, assuming
you to be a deputy president.
Assuming.
And I have not given a condition. And that's why I say I am supporting Azimio 100%, not because of me.
Right.
But because of what I believe.
Whatever happens.
And so whatever happens.
You're fine and you're happy.
The whole issue is for us is to deliver a win, and that is the first
Mutula is saying it was not just the Holy Spirit.
Hear me himself here is a governor. And that's why I said we are losing the direction of this show.
No, I was...
Because I've been
you
in the
didn't wait
media
me to finish.
when we were given the topic for this show, what's called
running mate,
not Kalonzo.
But Kalonzo is the main guy.
What do you mean? Who is your main guy?
The real deal.
Who is your main guy? Can we just go back and ask ourselves then, what should candidates, as you're saying, yes, you have the gut feeling, you have whatever, it's personal and everything else, but what should candidates look for? So don't worry about what we are doing. Don't worry about what we are doing. Don't worry about what we are doing.
What Mutula said about
can you say 10 seconds?
Yes, 10 seconds. I really think that this Azimio relationship is an abusive relationship before even it starts. and the danger with that kind of abusive relationship is that when by the time you get that person to government, the people of Kenya should not give them a chance. Because if they do, it's the worse than this Ruto.
With all due respect, we take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss those things, and especially from the UDA side, who exactly are they considering and why?
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
What were you thinking?
Should have called.
Oh, you think? I thought he was dead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're sorry. Oh, that fixes everything.
I tried to...
shut up.
If you're trying to get me to like you, then congratulations. It's working.
They're ready for you.
The Kuza Awards are here. This year's theme is Raising the Standard of Excellence in Broadcasting. Vote for your favorite channel and TV for the People's Choice Award. To vote for the People's Choice Awards, SMS the word Kuza, that's K-U-Z-A, to 15601. Answer 4 simple questions and press send. This text message is absolutely free. Voting ends 8th May 2022. Vote NTV, turning on your word for the People's Choice Awards.
With all due respect, welcome back. Now, we've been discussing running mate, and Kalonzo has dominated quite a bit of our discussion tonight for obvious reasons. But now let's switch it a bit onto the other side. MURKOMEN,
yes.
You're very happy, and I can see you gleaning from
here
when we were discussing the problems Azimio has. Yeah. But you also have a problem on your end. You also need to choose a running mate.
Yes.
How's that going? Who are the names that you're considering?
I actually met the deputy president the other day. We were going to see him with the team from Elgeyo Marakwet County. And so I teased him and I said, who is your running mate? The country is waiting for your running mate. Who is your running mate? He said, I know my running mate. Yeah? And he didn't tell me who it is. So, as I said, it's a decision that is left to the presidential candidate.
At least tell us where is this coming from.
I don't know, because I know that, like Sabina said earlier, many people were eyeing to be his running mate, including Sabina at some point. Also, you know, Sabina is my friend, so I can tease her. Many people across this country would like to have the opportunity to be considered to be the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, or to be a running mate, with the hope that they will be a Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. So I expected that it's not just 1 or 2 people. I expected that there are over 1,000 people who would wish that they would be considered for deputy president.
But you're not interviewing 1,000
Of course, yeah, that's true. Of course, at the moment, you've had the conversation that the people who are being considered include, you've had Musalia Mudavadi being discussed, you've had Professor Kithure Kindiki being discussed, you've had J.B. Muturi, speaker, being discussed, you've had Rigathi Gachagua being among the people being discussed. At some point there was Wetangula, but that fizzled. That discussion has not gone on. There was a time also Martha Karua was being discussed before she made a decision to join Azimio. There was a time also Kalonzo was being discussed before he made a choice that if it was possible for him to team up with William Ruto, was it possible for him to be a running mate? That's why you see me mentioning about Kalonzo, because I have maximum respect for him. You know, is worth being considered, not just for deputy president, but also as a presidential candidate. And by the time you're being considered for a deputy president, you are at this level. I believe, in terms of the people I've mentioned their names, any of them can make a fantastic deputy president. I know only one person will be considered because the presidential candidate will have various considerations to make. Unfortunately, he has not asked for my, I have my favorite among them, but he has not asked me that, you know, whom should I consider. I also see, from my observation and working with the deputy president, I see that he has adopted the mechanism of consulting widely. I see him often calling religious leaders, talk to them, and some of the religious leaders I've talked to have told me one of the things the DP wanted to know is generally whom they would consider for deputy. Okay, he has talked to political leaders, he has talked to various people, but all these conversations have remained within the circles of his personal decision. So I think I am confident that two things. One, that the deputy president, he can surprise us. I have mentioned, you heard me mention 5 gentlemen, but you didn't hear me also mention that our sister Alice Wahome has also been mentioned, and our sister, what do you call, Anne Waiguru has been mentioned, and at some point also Susan Kihika had been mentioned. So we have a team of men and ladies who are being considered for deputy president. I can tell you one thing, and I can assure you this 100%, that the day the deputy president will name his running mate, all these other people I have mentioned will be standing by him and will stand by the person who has been considered, no fallouts, whether it is a lady or a man, and it will be amicable. You will not see the kind of noise that you hear from the Azimio side. And this is the advantage of experience.
But hang on, yes, there's a few things. One, just to push back on that point, you're Kenya Kwanza, you're dealing with a much less coalition than Azimio. Azimio obviously with a much broader coalition.
What do you mean by
the number of parties, that sort of thing involved?
We are dealing, Azimio has only 3 major parties.
We have 26.
Okay? We have 3 major parties.
What do you mean 3 major
Azimio has only, as
when you say major party, what's the difference between major party and a less major party?
Azimio has ODM, yeah. The second party that Azimio has is Wiper, and Azimio has a smaller faction of Jubilee, which is with the old Jubilee, now a small thing of it, something that cannot even do nominations. Now, major parties in Azimio actually is ODM and Wiper.
Okay, what about Kenya
those are
Kwanza?
the people who can say they have a greater stake.
Okay.
In Kenya Kwanza, the founding parties were UDA, Ford Kenya, and ANC. But of course, we have been joined by many other parties, just like our colleagues here. At least for our parties, they were independent. But most of our colleagues here, the president organized for small parties to be formed. You know, divide Ford Kenya and call it DAP. Get another one here, call it something, and they conglomerate together. But in reality, there are 3 major parties that are in that side. For us, we have the old party called DP. It's also come to our side. We have a new party.
And that's a major party.
Yeah, of course, a big party. What do you mean?
Okay. No, I just wanted to say that.
You know who the Speaker of the National Assembly is? You have parties like Jibebe. You have CCK for Moses Korea. You have all these many other parties.
Major parties.
But what's important for us is that you have an organized team. You know, for us, it's a coalition of the willing. And over time, this coalition has gelled. No duress, no undue influence, no being forced to using taxes and all that kind of thing. So because of that, we have developed and grown organically. But you can see the jostling on this other side is because it's a forced marriage.
Okay, Sabina.
It's abusive forced marriage.
Here's the thing.
You see,
supposing, as we move this forward, supposing this committee and this decision, obviously we're seeing Wiper is not happy with it. Some of the members are not happy with it. Supposing this process, in the next, less than 10 days, ends up acrimonious.
I would not say that the other people are not happy. And
he's here. He's unhappy. He's a major party of Wiper.
That is Wiper, which is, by the way, we respect them. And I've told you they are part and parcel of the decision and also part of the panel. They have their person there. If they were not happy and they were not part of it, they would not have agreed even to send somebody in the panel. You see, truth be told, you see, it's interesting how Murkomen seems to know about us. And by the way, even now, I'm suspicious. What is the interest with Kalonzo Musyoka? Himself here, he doesn't even know who is going to be the running mate. And then he goes around. It's also very funny. Women should be worried about this UDA. He first talks about men and forgets even the names. He's not even remembering the names of the women who come at his back of his mind and trying to say, is this lady from Kirinyaga? Even Susan Daiva even does like this. Nakuru was somehow considered. You can see how
you're now becoming a mind reader.
You can see.
With all due respect, I didn't say that.
You see, they read the body language. I'm also reading. The women of Kenya should be worried. What kind of characters they are dealing with. So
we'll play back the tape.
It is important that they also come out clean. They stop discussing us.
And allow you to put your house in order.
We have even that Kenya. You're saying that Kenya is a small faction of Jubilee. You see, at the end of the day, we have started a process that they admire. They don't know how they can be able, they can't copy us. And so they want to spoil. All I can assure you is, if their own deputy president appeared before Mudama and Veronica Maina for an interview to become a president, here we have some respected senior people. A panel agreed within the council. And we are telling them, and it's not that they're making a final decision. But the same thing he's saying, the religious leaders coming, the DP tries to ask them. So for us, we said, why don't we have something that is complete? And so it is not demeaning for Kalonzo as they want to put it, because those people are even senior than Mudama and Veronica Maina.
Tell me clearly.
They are more respected.
Number
two, what would they be afraid of?
I think there's
because Kalonzo, yes, he has capacity. And nobody say he doesn't have capacity. So if he appears, why not? Will the team
supposing he does not?
Sabina is interviewing.
It's a personal decision. I'm not part of the interview. I'm not part of the panel.
Okay. Supposing he does not, then what happens?
It's his own personal decision, and I would not really want to give ultimatum because again, I'm not the presidential candidate. Correct. The decision finally will be made by the presidential candidate. He only said the same thing that happens even within in America and other places where there's a team that sits down, analyzes, sees the positives and negatives. What do we need to do? Sees where are the gaps and sees then this will be the most suitable candidate. Maybe the candidate will be thinking, yeah, because I'm a man, I need a woman. But maybe the candidate, for example, for instance, with a man, might be a young man who is followed by both women and young people, but the elderly and whatever. So you look at who would bring that group that you do not have. I think that's the kind of discussion that we should be having in this show from the beginning, not discussing an individual, not allowing Murkomen to go around and start talking about us. Okay. And he's not us, and he's not disclosing what they are doing. And I am telling you, and I want to repeat again, the minute, it's us, it's better us who are fighting now. So by the time we come to an agreement, we'll have known each other's weaknesses and strengths, and we'll have agreed. These ones who are quiet, the biggest fallout, and we'll come back on this show, will happen after they announce who is going to be their running mate.
I'd be happy to have this panel. I just want to correct misreporting by Sabina. William Ruto is a presidential candidate. There is a process of nominating a presidential candidate. And there are more than one people who apply to be presidential candidate in UDA. And unlike them in Azimio, they shut out everybody, including beating Jimmy Wanjiki with goons to make sure that he does not challenge Raila Odinga presidential candidate. No, let me just correct that. So the process of nomination that our party took was to interview all the candidates, William Ruto and two others, Orina and one more person.
That wasn't demeaning.
But for a deputy president, no, I'm just saying this. The deputy president is not a candidate on his own, he's a running mate. A running mate is chosen by the presidential candidate. The way all over the world it has evolved is that a search committee for a presidential candidate is a private, silent, quiet, backroom advisory committee for the presidential candidate. They do not usurp the powers of the presidential candidate. They don't subject the candidates of the running mate to the kind of charade that Kalonzo Musyoka is being explained. And actually, to be
But
very honest,
you really care about Kalonzo.
the demeaning behavior.
You really care about
Maybe
Kalonzo.
partly because, let me say this, partly
Of
because
course.
I would have wished if Kalonzo joined us.
Okay.
Let me start from there.
Okay.
Two, and most important, he's my friend. And three, if in the unlikely event, a very unlikely event, that is going to be chosen to be a running mate, and the most very unlikely event that they win elections, it will not be deputy president of himself. It's for all of us. So we care the same way they care. Sabina, you've had Sabina here caring about who will be your running mate. People will fall out. People will run. Whatever. Because
hang on.
Tomorrow they know this is the government in waiting, and they are interested in how we will govern.
For most importantly,
Yeah,
we would like
yeah.
to see this collapse.
Yeah.
But hang on. The question here is this: is the relationship between Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka has broken down to an extent that they've needed mediators first to come and have them agree who's going to be a presidential candidate, and now someone else has to agree if the two of them can be president.
A joint ticket. Yeah.
No. So that relationship has broken to an extent.
No. And that's not even the point. I'm on record actually as having protested the manner in which 3 governors from Mukambani were treating the negotiation to have Kalonzo in Azimio. And I said, you cannot issue a statement that Kalonzo is asking for money while you at the same time you're asking him to join. It's a question of how you treat people. I'm actually advocating for a better method of doing things. There is no relationship broken down between Kalonzo and Raila. It's none. And part of the people who, like me, are looking for a better way of doing things are simply saying, could you please retreat into a room? Don't tell us what you're doing. We don't want to know. Just come up with a result. And if possible, everybody will be there and everybody will support. Because it's not just about Kalonzo. There are many other people whose lives are going to be affected negatively. Because picking this one as against the other one, the presidential candidate must go and explain why they picked this one as opposed to the other one. Now, that is the method I am extremely against. A method where the SG reads a press conference. We have done this XYZ. We are going to interview. You're going to apply. Because and somebody asked me this question this afternoon, assuming that Kalonzo was the presidential candidate, would Raila Odinga be interviewed? Or would he be asked to apply? You know, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. So I have advised the council where they sit, and I don't sit there, and they have not called me to advise them, that the result of what they are doing is key to victory. The bottom line, in the end of the day, whether you are looking for camaraderie between the president and the deputy presidential candidate, whether it's in Azimio or UDA, I can tell you the presidential candidates are going to be looking for votes first. Mm-hmm. Who is going to deliver more votes to the basket?
And according to you, who's that?
I mean, if you were to put a list, I don't know anybody who can deliver more votes on that list than Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And this is historical. It's historical. It's from a historical basis. From the votes that you have delivered to NASA. I mean, what are you going to do with those votes? Now, people have asked the question, assuming that the panel, and I'm not sure whether it's, I don't know how the panel was picked, because Sabina says that Kalonzo nominated my friend Enoch Wambua into that committee. I'm not quite certain, because I've not heard from him, and neither has Enoch told me, whether indeed it was Kalonzo who picked Enoch Wambua to sit in that committee, because the last committee that appears, I don't know what you call it, the NEC committee of Azimio, I had my friend Wambua say, no, I was not asked to sit in the committee.
Talk to me about the votes, the vote count. Who? Yes.
Between who and who? Between Peter Kenneth, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
Kalonzo Musyoka will give you votes that you cannot get anywhere. It's as simple as that. Let me tell you, the fact is, and I like being honest, because when I'm honest, I sleep well at night.
Very good.
These people, and who are busy celebrating our downfall, when you see, when Murkomen is like that, is the fodder. The fodder for that funeral was provided by us.
Yeah.
We are the ones giving them fodder to run as roughshod.
Okay.
And therefore, if you're going to consider votes, Kalonzo Musyoka comes first. If you're going to consider experience, Kalonzo Musyoka comes first. If you're going to consider who has been running with Raila more than any other person who has sacrificed for Raila Amolo Odinga, it is Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka.
Sabina.
Thank you.
For you, what are you considering? I'm coming to you.
I agree.
Yes.
What Kalonzo has done, with all due respect, I respect him. And I say
what are you considering?
You know, facts are stubborn. Murkomen here will tell you. Ruto, 52% of the votes, that gave us a victory, 2013 came from Mount Kenya region. 2017, 50%. So whoever is going to be a presidential candidate, whether from our side or from the side of UDA, you cannot afford to ignore Mount Kenya. And that's why you've seen there's a lot of attention in Mount Kenya region. But the
numbers are important.
Numbers are very important. Amongst many things, commitment, experience, the future, even the ambitions and everything else, all those facts, numbers, at the end of the day, are the ones to deliver victory. And so, as we discussed, but we have seen Mount Kenya, we've not really given conditions because it's a win for all of us.
So
we have not given conditions, and that's why I'm saying, as a member of the council, I wish every potential Kenyan who can be able to partner with Raila Amolo Odinga and help Azimio deliver victory. We are open. And I will say, I'm not among the people who are making that decision, but we are open. I don't know why Tuda keeps on saying, Peter Kenneth, I don't know Kalonzo. We might even have a surprise candidate. You never know. You never know. Because
Sabina Chege.
Sabina Chege.
No, I'm not talking about Sabina Chege. That is a very good prayer. A very good one, by the way. I'll gladly
the
take
Holy
it.
Spirit.
I'll gladly take it.
Okay.
And accept
by the way, James,
to serve this nation.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is this. I wouldn't, I'm very suspicious. And I want to repeat again. I don't know why Murkomen is still insisting on Kalonzo. And trying to really, even yesterday, instead of them going to mourn, the loss of their friend's daughter, they went to talk about Kalonzo. The whole topic was about...
the person who was bereaved was talking about Kalonzo.
Even the person who was believed. So I am suspicious. What is this weakness that they are finding here that they want to really push us? And why are they pushing us for Kalonzo? What is the interest? And they're not talking about their own... They are not talking about their own candidates. I wish they were talking about themselves.
But it's deflecting. It's obvious what they're doing.
And I think...
For the purpose of this show...
Yes.
I would say Sabina. Yeah, Sabina.
For the purpose of the show.
Yeah, the purpose of this show.
You see,
I will say,
absolutely, you have no respect for
on a serious note, it's not about, I'm not talking about you, Sabina, because you're a woman. It's because I know you as a leader. Yeah. And
you have worked together.
If this is the year we've worked together, I know.
She was on your side of the divide at some point.
Not even that. Yeah. She knows that...
we started this journey together until they started
there are so many great things that the Deputy President was wishing this lady a few years ago, and she knows.
She had she shed tears. Please share with us.
Even bigger position, she knows between her and the Deputy President, and the few of us who know. But so we have mutual respect. And if this becomes the last show I'm going to share with Sabina as an ordinary member of Parliament, and the next show in her capacity as a Deputy President, that will be...
We might not go to get her again.
No, that is true. That will be a great surprise for all of us.
Yes.
But this is the thing I'm going to say. Is that beyond the names and the people's the people we're discussing, the next deputy president, the next president must have clear responsibilities of the office of the deputy president. The Constitution itself says that the deputy president shall deputize the president and perform other responsibilities delegated by the president. Unfortunately, this deputy president has never appeared in any executive order since 2013 to be delegated specific responsibilities. Granted, in the first term, which is 2013 to 2017, he was given many responsibilities and chaired so many committees, though not defined in any executive order that this is his responsibilities. And I want to implore my friend Mutula, in the event that he becomes also a governor, he needs to, by an executive order, in the event. And I didn't want to say more than that because I am conflicted. I have a candidate. I'm a candidate, yet Mutula is my friend. But if he becomes a governor, or when he becomes a governor, if that becomes the case, he should also treat his deputy with the respect that he deserves, and give specific responsibility to the office of his deputy governor.
Should we make that? Should we codify that in the law?
It's difficult. We struggle with the Senate. We struggle with the Senate to give those responsibilities, but we found that it should be just left. It's very difficult to constrain the office of the principal himself, whether it's the president or the governor, to say these are the responsibilities.
It's very difficult.
Now, if I was running to be a deputy president, and I said it earlier, I would be very happy to be deputy president of William Ruto, because he has seen it all, you know. I would be worried if I was going to be a running mate of Raila Odinga, who has been happy, and I'm saying this with utmost respect, even if I am an independent observer out there, who has been happy to cheer President Uhuru Kenyatta as he strips responsibility from his deputy. It means his mindset, his thinking, his philosophy on the office of a deputy president is the same as the one of Uhuru Kenyatta. And any person whose standard is Uhuru Kenyatta, that is the lowest standard you can ever compare.
But when did
no, I'm just saying this. We hope. We hope not. It changed this time, and there's no doubt about that. From 2018, and from the time he gave this executive order number 1, that completely.
That's when it changed for you.
Destroyed the office of the deputy president. Of course, it was clear that this man was picking a war fight. He wanted to get away. Everybody was working with him, including myself and others. And I'm just saying this. We saw the other side of Uhuru Kenyatta, which was promised to us in 2016, but we never had and we never listened. But the point I'm trying to make here is that that is water under the bridge. It's only Uhuru Kenyatta after 97 days will never be president forever. So the point is that is water under the bridge. We are not going to be having to discuss Uhuru Kenyatta after 97 days. What we must discuss is the office of the deputy president and the office of deputy governor. Okay. And I am saying that the next president, and William Ruto has promised as much, and you will be seeing it in the next few weeks, his statement to the public about what responsibility is going to give to the office of the deputy president
before he announces,
and his commitment, commitment to making sure that that is a functional office based on his personal experience. The last thing I'll say is that we need a president who will borrow leaf from the late President Mwai Kibaki. We will also not just allow the deputy president to function, and this is something I'm also going to encourage my friend Mutula, allow also departments of government to work, allow people to shine. This obsession by one individual that you must clap for me, it is my legacy. Every time it's about me, I and myself, my government. If you want to go back to the history and see President Mwai Kibaki, there is no time that President Mwai Kibaki said my government. He always said the government of Kenya. And in fact, he always said sisi, tumefanya, sisi tumeamua. He never talked about me, I and myself. You need the next president to appreciate the responsibilities of the deputy president and other officers of government and allow people to grow. Let people, it is only in the time of very few people in President Kenyatta's time have made a name by running ministries they have. But in President Kibaki's time,
we need to find another day.
Most of these cabinet secretaries or ministers at that point in time made their name because they had the latitude to contribute to their country using their brain. There were cabinet meetings. How can you run a country without a cabinet meeting for 2 years?
That's such a big government.
It's unbelievable.
That's why I said.
We are 30 seconds.
That's why I said. Every time we qualify what Kenya should be, we should disqualify what Ruto has been. Because that is not what the Constitution contemplated. Never contemplated that sort of relationship, never contemplated such altercations.
Kind of treatment, yeah.
Your final thoughts.
And therefore, it's important, the stability of this country and the people who are going to pick the presidential candidates. And I hope SABINA CHEGE, because I complimented her for allowing the spirit to lead her, not to vie. The spirit must also lead to making a decision that is going to help the country. I personally would prefer a decision made quietly, because that decision then resonates well. When my party leader decides he's no longer going to be a presidential candidate after we have nominated him, that decision was accepted because they trust him. But anything that appears as if And you know, these people are capitalizing on it. That's why when you go to Odaya, they capitalize, oh, Kalonzo has not been recognized. It's us who are giving fodder to them. And therefore, I hope that, Sabina, you're going to call somebody. You can call. You don't need to go. We are not going anywhere. You have to call somebody tonight. Tell them, can we change tact? Make sure that this conversation does not go beyond James Matt, MURKOMEN, and SABINA CHEGE. Tomorrow, don't talk about it. If you call for an interview, we don't want to know. Don't tell us. Don't broadcast it. Junet Mohammed should not give any press conference on a deputy presidential candidate.
Thank you very much, Sabina. Final thoughts?
Thank you very much. I think he has talked about the pact and the Ruto. There are many lessons that we have learned also. Yeah. It's not just about the behavior of the president, but also of the deputy president. And we should ask ourselves, I wish we can play the clips of MURKOMEN before then, when we were coming out on the second term, and then when they started saying, Maliza Wende. So now you see the change of behavior. So we should also now, apart from who is the deputy president, the office and the responsibility, and also what should not be expected of a deputy president. I think it's always fair to look at it that way. And how we handle our businesses. These people must be admiring us. That's why they're talking about us. And also see, on our side, we also need to manage ourselves.
That's what we
don't need to keep on, crying out in the public. We also need to manage ourselves. If there's an issue, let's talk, because we have the council. And that is where we normally talk. And these people, I have told you, wait for the biggest fallout. The disappointment, the deceit that they have lied to many people there. I'm just waiting 10 days to go. But we wish. But there will be none. I want to wish that this country gets the best president and the best deputy president, not for our sake, not because we want to massage our egos, but because we want to serve this country with our whole heart and with humility.
All right, I would like to end there. When we have this announcement, I'd like to again welcome all of you back here and revisit this conversation.
And maybe high in our glory.
And perhaps deputy running mate Sabina Chege, perhaps.
Amen.
In 10 days or so, with all due respect, we will be back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
MURKOMEN, Sabina Chege, and of course, Governor in waiting, Makueni.
Yes. 017.
017.
Yeah.
That's it for us here on NTV Tonight. With all due respect, my name is James Matt. Please do have a lovely night. We'll do this all over again next week. Same time, same station.